So for my project, I chose to do the culture of Russia. Russia's culture is a very long and rich cultural history. It has to do with ballet, a bunch of dancing, with classical music, and a lot of people still listen to those musics today. Um, Paintings that last hundreds and hundreds of years ago that they still have in like museums and some people's houses if they can afford it. And they have a steeped in literature. They're very into literature there. Russia also has a very visual past with colorful folk costumes and ornate religious and symbols. They also have a bunch of colorful festivals. They have a bunch of festivals there. So, fact about Russia is that there are two types of Russia ethnical dresses that they wear. One of them includes a saravan, and the other one is a poniva. The poniva is told to be the oldest out of the two dresses. They also wear these dresses during any festivals or just out, just to walk around and stuff like that. But in the past, they generally was just worn all the time. Another fact about Russia is that there's generally 3 meals a day, and during those 3 meals, lunch tend to be the biggest out of all the meals. Some staple meals for mealtime includes bread, salad, or beets for soup, like soup made out of beets. Cabbage, fish. Fish is very popular there because the land of water they have, and karsha, that is buckwheat porridge. So for some beliefs in Russia, I chose to do about death and dying. So during a death of a family member, they believe that the person's soul will linger for up to 40 days on Earth. If the person suffered a bad death is something unexpected to them. They believe that the body will linger on the mortal plane for longer than 40 days. They also tend to cover all their mirrors. If they have any mirrors around them, they will cover them because it's told that the mirrors are a gateway to the land of death. And they also believe that the person, the family member next to see their reflection first is the first one to die. Well, it's the next one to die, I mean. They also stop all the clocks in their house because they believe that it will help assist their loved ones for their souls to move on quicker to the afterlife. So these traditions are from a strong folk tales, and they stayed through generations. So they just kept thanking them, and family members just keep doing it, and that's really good because it's very important to have traditions like that in family. It keeps the family together. Another belief they have is when someone dies in Russia, the people at the funeral will throw fir and juniper as a funeral passes to cover the mourner's tracks. Also, the mourners follow a different route home after the funeral because they want to confuse any lingering evil spirits. That's also why they throw fir or juniper. A lot of traditions do not want evil spirits or any negativity near them, so I'm not surprised with this. A lot of different traditions have those little tiny traditions that they do, and it's really nice. So mine and Russia's beliefs have some similarities and some difference. One of the similarities is that we both believe in a good death. A good death to Russia is when the death is natural, so when an elderly passes in their sleep. And also for me, a good death is when there's no pain involved. So that's why when I read that, it really made me think, oh, I think that too, because a good death is just not suffering. So with cancer or any diseases or illnesses like that, they suffer. and they feel lots of pain, and they feel pain all the way up to their death. So that gets into my other similarity, is that we both believe in a bad death. A bad death happens unexpectedly. For example, a bad death is a car accident. A car accident is something unexpected. Nobody said, oh, this person's gonna have an accident today. So they feel the pain, and they might be taken to the hospital to be in like a bed for days on life support, and they could just pass, but they still feel the pain. And it also makes the families feel more pain. So a bad death and really affects the family more than a good death, because they kind of expect it during a good death, but a bad death they don't. So we also have differences. One of the differences is that Russia covers all the mirrors to keep the bad spirits away. But for me, ever since I was younger, I heard this tale that if you hold your breath passing a graveyard, it keeps the bad spirits from entering your body. And ever since then, I've been doing that. I tend to hold my breath and not look at the graveyard, because if there's any negativity or any bad energies, I don't want that to come into me and for me to suffer through them. It's like when a person dies from a bad death, they might still be angry, they might be still sad, and I don't want those type of energies to come to me. Another difference is that after death, their families bathes the body in the clothes in white. They also wrap the body with a belt for protection to bond the soul to the body. But for me, I don't bathe the body or the clothes. The priest, or I forget what it's called, deals with the body, but we do bury the body with something that they loved. If they had a watch or anything like that, or flowers that was their favorite type, we would give it to them. We would let them hold them and bring them into the ground with them, because we want them to enjoy life. We want them to have that one thing to keep them going. We want their energies to be good. We don't want them to become an evil spirit. We want them to become a good spirit. It's also for Russia, when they bury the body, it's a special meaningful thing, because they believe the white will help the bad spirits go away. And that's what I kind of believe also. Like, if anything, I want to be buried in white, because that white brings more positivity. Black means negativity. Yeah, so here are some beliefs that Russia has that will affect the healthcare line of work a good amount. So they think that the good health equals no pain at all. So most illnesses go undiagnosed, like type 2 diabetes, hypertension, or high cholesterol. That affects the healthcare unit, because when they come in, we have limited things we could do to help them, because they had it for so long. So just because they don't feel pain doesn't mean it isn't there, and it will become a bad death in their minds because they didn't expect it, and that will make them think there is like an evil spirit and stuff like that, and we don't want that, because for healthcare workers, we want to help them. We do. And that also is another thing that for another belief that the Russians have, is they do not seek medical attention. They speak to priest instead. So for their mind, a doctor and a priest is the same thing. So because they do not trust doctors. So when they would come in for medical help, also It's just we have to make them comfortable until they pass away because we don't have enough time to help them. So for the last thing, culture competencies to me is understanding and appreciating different cultures. You cannot judge different cultures, and you have to respect all cultures in the healthcare line of work. You have to understand each one. You have to respect. You have to care for those. So that's my definition of it. And so that was my project on Russia. Russia's.